Representative Bennett John, you're recognized for 10 minutes of debate in opposition to House Bill 2734.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, just like my colleagues from the other side of the aisle, I didn't plan on debating against this either until I started to read it and realize the detrimental impact it's going to have in our schools. The same impact that the similar legislation that's been passed in other states have had all across the United States. And parents now are standing up and even suing in the courts, and I'll share that with you in a minute, saying, hey, somebody's got to stop this. Now, nobody's against local control. Everybody wants local control. I'm all for that. That's a Republican standard. But when you open up that door, you know what else you do? You open that door for whoever's in charge of that program at the local level to implement whatever doctrine they want and get into an inside door or window to our children. It's a slippery slope, and it's been proven across the United States, especially in places like Detroit, Michigan, and other places like that. Now, there's been other avenues that's got them into where they are today, but it's no different than this avenue that we're looking at here today. Everyone wants to protect their kids. I've got kids in school. I parent a little bit different than most. I tell them if they get bullied to handle it in a different way than some others would. If you want to know what that is, I'll tell you after this debate in private. But nobody wants their kid to be bullied. And if a child is raped or someone is hurt, of course we want them to report that to somebody. And that is why we have teachers. Teachers are giving their lives to our children and what they do at the schools. They build personal relationships with our children, or should be. And because of that personal relationship, that gives them the door to go tell somebody what's going on or what's happening. You know what happens when government gets involved? Things go south fast. And that's exactly what we're doing. This is not local control. All we're doing is giving cover for somebody that has a personal agenda to get in to your child's ears and tell them what they want them to believe. Let's take a look at some of this stuff here. You know, I heard, and I hear this a lot, it's all about protecting the kids. Absolutely it is. And that's why I'm debating against this bill. If it's about protecting our kids, then why are we trying to open the door to indoctrinate them just like this guy's child was in another state? This is his actual sworn statement to a court of law. And I want to read some of this to you. And I quote, "After moving my family to a new location because of the threats, I decided to place my children in a new school in the hopes of getting a new start. My daughter entered into the 8th grade. The school conducted an anti-suicide week. The teacher, Miss Coffin, took it upon herself to show the students a pro-gay video that was not part of the programming. The video displayed 2 boys in bed being romantic with each other. Oh, by the way, last year it was admitted on this House floor that this legislation was specifically to help gay individuals that are having a relationship, to teach them how to have safe sex so they didn't catch AIDS. The video displayed 2 boys being romantic with each other. Miss Coffin told the students not to tell their parents that she showed them the video. In response, my daughter went straight home and told me what had happened because I have raised her to report wrongdoing like that. Since secular humanists have no standard of right and wrong, there's no standard for character and decency, which means in reality that secular humanists in position of authority are oftentimes a terrible influence." He went on to say that Ms. Coffin is pro-transgender, very pro-LGBTQ. In keeping with a pattern of inappropriate behavior, she friends students on Instagram. My daughter was following her. This teacher is a devout secular humanist who prides herself of not believing in truth and is all around a bad influence for failing to know the objective difference between right and wrong and real and fake. In response to showing the pro-LGBTQ video, I called the principal of the school, Dr. Branch. He said that he would investigate. A Christian publication contacted the Board of Education. The principal reported back to me that the students wanted Ms. Coffin to play the video. My daughter was called to the principal's office where the principal told her that students who lie makes his job harder. This caused my daughter to have a panic attack, and she had to go see the school nurse. The Board of Education then investigated the principal for bullying. Meanwhile, I am in disbelief at the lack of moral compass manifested by secular humanist educators whose salaries fall on the taxpayers' shoulders like myself. End quote. And this whole stack right here is nothing but sworn statement in a court of law, because the kids that we're supposed to be protecting are being bullied by other kids and teachers that have their own personal agenda, and it's primarily the LGBTQ, the transgenderism, and some other stuff as well. If we're protecting our kids, why are we opening up this door and allowing them to be attacked? Because that is simply what it is. Now, if they want to be homosexual, transgender, they can be whatever they want. That's fine. They have to answer to God. They don't have to answer to me for that. If they want to do that, that's fine. But why on earth would we as a government body allow the door to open so grown adults and other children will have a right and an ability to get in there and talk your kids into thinking it's okay because it's their agenda? It's not okay. And by you voting yes on this bill, you're saying it's okay, and you're putting your own children at risk. I'm telling you, this is a slippery slope. You go research it. You can Google anything nowadays, and you can see case after case after case. And finally, parents are starting to fight back because they're not so scared to be politically incorrect anymore. Our moral compass in the United States of America, and even in the state of Oklahoma, is broken. And this body is allowing it to happen with bills like this, because they're slick and they sneak through here, and when you read it, you think, well, that's a good deal, because everyone wants to take care of kids when it comes to rape or abuse of any kind. But you know what they're doing? They're using a Trojan horse, and you're all being fooled by it. I'm telling you, it's a Trojan horse. There's numerous cases in Detroit, Michigan. Numerous cases where the school board has used similar language and allowed teachers to tell their students, it's okay, you can tell me about certain things, but if it doesn't fit their agenda, they cover it up. And you know what they've been covering up? Female genital mutilation. It's happening in the United States of America. And some of you smirk a little, and I hear some stuff from the other side of the aisle where they're laughing. That's fine. Go Google it. This is a real thing. And guess who is the ones that's being hurt in this whole deal? The kids. How about protecting the kids? That's what we're supposed to do, right? We heard it from the other side. Vote no on this bill, and you can protect these children. I mean, this thing is just rampant with so many things that could go wrong depending on who's implementing the program. And what are you going to do when they call you and the school says, or someone, a kid or a parent says, hey, they're doing this in my school, you need to stop them. Oh, we can't do that. We passed a law to allow them to do that. That's not the right answer. The right answer is having some moral fortitude and saying, I'm not going to stand for that. I'm not going to vote for this bill, and give them the opportunity, for one. But two, if it ever does happen, then you got to be able to stand up and say, you know what? I don't care if it's not politically correct. I'm going to stand up for my constituents and these children and protect them, because that's the number one job of the government, public safety. Just because they're children doesn't mean that we don't have to protect them. Now, not all schools are going to abuse this, but all it takes is one. Do we really want to open that door when they already have the capabilities there? If a child has an issue, they go to a teacher. The teacher does a job. They go to the principal. The principal goes on up the chain. If it's criminal, they call law enforcement. I've been called to school several times for criminal issues. We don't need this to protect our kids. As a matter of fact, we don't need this, or it'll cause more turmoil in the schools. So if you really want to protect the kids, you want to do what's right and be adherent to our Oklahoma values and make sure our moral compass is right on track where it needs to be, vote no on this horrible, horrible bill. If you vote yes, just stand by to be accountable for what you've allowed to go into our school systems, and that the fact that you failed to protect our kids. I highly encourage you to think hard about this and vote no on this bill. It's a horrible bill.